young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN and Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila in Thailand. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma. I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines, Philippine National Police Chief General Guillermo Eleazar ordered all police officers to strictly enforce the prohibition on outdoor exercises for the duration of the enhanced community quarantine period in the National Capital Region.
Riot police fired water cannons, rubber bullets, and tear gas at protesters in Bangkok Tuesday as hundreds rallied for democratic reform and against the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic.
The Philippine economy strongly recovered in the second quarter this year to 11.8%, mainly driven by base effects and a better balance between addressing the impacts of the pandemic and the need to restore jobs and incomes of Filipinos.
And Singapore on Wednesday upgraded its growth forecast for this year as the trade-reliant economy's key export markets pick up strength and thanks to the rapid coronavirus vaccine rollouts.
First, Malacanang urged Metro Manila residents to follow the prohibition of outdoor exercise amid the enhanced community quarantine in the country's metropolis under a resolution inked Monday by 17 Metro Manila mayors and Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairperson Benjamin Abalos Jr. No one is allowed to exercise outdoors until August 20. Take a look.
So ito'y kinumbine namin lahat ng mayors. Kahapon, nagkaroon kami ng meeting. Kahapon lang po ito, nag-exchange notes na naman, assessment on the ground. Ang sabi po nila ay ganito. Anyway, 10 araw na lang. 10 araw na lang makakasama sa Metro Manila. No? Baka po pwede, tanggalin na rin natin yung lalabas ka ng bahay. Bakit? Hindi mo kasi masabi. Baka mamaya nasa labas ka, may dumaan sa iyo, mahawa ka. No? So sana itong ECQ na ito, alam ko mabigat po itong ayuda na ito, mabigat ang sakripisyo ng gobyerno rito, mabigat ang sakripisyo nating lahat, nasa bahay tayo. Why not make the most out of this? No? Yun naman na napag-usapan ng mga mayor. But after this, ano malay natin, gumanda na, I'm sure tatanggalin na po itong exercise na ito, pwede na. It's just the next coming 10 days. At isa pang rason dito na talagang tingin ko tumama sa puso ng bawat isa. Bawat mayor po ay magulang eh. Hindi namin alam ang epekto nito sa mga bata sa ngayon. Maraming nababasa, maraming naririnig na pati ang mga bata, maski nga ang bakuna na ibibigay na sa mga bata. Ano ang punto po ng mga mayor? Ang punto po nila ay pag-iingat ng bawat isang pamilya, bawat isang komunidad. So sana po maunawaan ninyo ang rason bakit itong polisiyang to ang ginawa nila. Yung sa exercise. Inuulit ko, ito po ay 10 araw lamang.
Metro Manila was placed on ECQ from August 6 to the 20th to curb the spread of the more infectious Delta variant of COVID-19. The decision was made after the steady rise in the number of COVID cases, including confirmed cases of the highly transmissible Delta variant in the region. The Department of Health, or DOH, on Monday said the Philippines has gone up to high-risk classification as the rise in COVID cases has been observed with a positive 2-week growth rate at 47%. The NCR maintained a positive TWGR and a high-risk average daily attack rate and is currently at high-risk classification. Its ADAR now is at 12.70 per 100,000 population.
Meanwhile, Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar on Wednesday ordered all police officers to strictly enforce the prohibition on outdoor exercises for the duration of the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ period in the National Capital Region or NCR. He called the prohibition on all outdoor activities very timely, considering that the Philippines has been declared as high risk for COVID-19 due to the increasing number of infections. The measure, he added, is needed to ensure that the situation would not worsen the country's health and economic situation. Eleazar also directed police commanders to maximize the information drive on the measure through the PNP's social media accounts and through Oplan Bandillo, where policemen warn the public through a megaphone or speaker system installed in roving police vehicles. He appealed to Metro Manila residents to abide by this rule and cooperate with authorities.
Meanwhile, President Duterte said some local government units or LGUs may have to take a back seat in the distribution of financial assistance for families affected by the imposition of the ECQ or Enhanced Community Quarantine. During his pre-recorded talk to the people, the President has ordered the DILG or Department of Interior and Local Government and the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD to take over the cash aid distribution in some, quote, disorganized LGUs. The President said some LGUs don't know how to set up an organized distribution process of cash assistance. Let's listen in.
Alam mo, may isang syudad ako dito na ay order your department and itong DCWD na kayo na ang magbigay ng mga ayuda pati yung mga kung anong maitulong sa national government sa local government units na walang alam na hindi marunong mag-organize ng mga distribution and it only results in disorder. So tinanggal ko muna yan sa kanila at ibinigay ko doon sa Department of Interior and Local Government pati ang DSWD. Kayo na muna hanggang matuto sila. Nakita naman ninyo, it's all on TV, na wala talagang kaalam-alam itong mga mayor na to. So tanggalan mo natin muna ng itong pamimigay, pag-distribute ng pera pati tulong ng gobyerno.
Now, the President did not name the LGUs but pointed out their mistakes on the pandemic responses had happened several times. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año said the government had allocated 10.89 billion pesos in funds to more than 10 million low-income Filipinos residing in the National Capital Region, which is now under the most restrictive quarantine classifications effective until August 20.
In a related news, the distribution of cash assistance to low-income households in Metro Manila will still be on August 11. This is according to Malacanang on Tuesday. The clarification was made a day after President Rodrigo Duterte stripped an unnamed local government unit or LGU in Metro Manila for its role to distribute the financial assistance to poor families affected by the 2-week enhanced community quarantine in the region. Let's take a look.
Kayo namang mga kasama ko sa Malacanang Press Corps, wala pong pangalan at walang pangalan ng syudad na nabanggit ang ating presidente. Bilang tagapagsalita, I cannot add doon sa hindi ilinabas ng ating Pangulo. Meron po siyang dahilan kung bakit hindi niya siguro linabas yon, pero hindi ko po alam kung bakit. So I will have to leave it at that. I am only a spokesperson. If the principal did not want to reveal kung sino yung mayor na yon at anong LGU na yan, so be it. No? Let's leave it at that. Ngayon, malalaman naman po natin yan dahil ang utos ng Presidente ay for the DILG, the PNP, and even the AFP to assist, no, and the DSWD na sila ay magbibigay ng ayuda sa syudad nito. In due course po, malalaman natin kung ano yan. Magkakaroon ba ng abirya? Tingin ko wala. Dahil nung mga nakalipas naman pong pamimigay ng ayuda ay DILG at DSW din po ang nabigay. No? Merong isang pagkakataon na diniretso po ng DSWD at DILG sa mga beneficiaries. At isang LGUs naman po to, kung matutuloy ito, I don't think there will be a problem. Pero as to the identity, hindi po binanggit ng Presidente. It's not for me to say kung sino po yan. I think yung premise mo na this is Manila, I cannot confirm that because I am not able to confirm it. Now, if the President did not name him, so be it. Pero sa tingin ko, pictures cannot lie. Ang reklamo ni Presidente, hindi niya mapatupad yung mabuting pagbabakuna. Dalawang larawan po kasi yan, no? Yung pagpila sa baha, sa ulan, na matinding ulan ng mga kababayan natin. At pangalawa nga po, yung pagkakagulo sa bakunahan, nakita rin po natin sa mga larawan yan. So pictures don't lie at naisip naman ni Presidente na kung ganito rin ang mangyayari pagdating sa distribution ng ayuda, baka lalong dumami pa ang ating COVID cases sa lugar na yan. Wala naman pong inaakusa, walang parusa. So wala pong karapatan na nalalabag. Ang sinisiguro lang ng Presidente yung karapatan ng taong bayan makakuha ng ayuda sa pinakamabuting mga pamamaraan.
In his pre-recorded talk to the people aired Monday night, Duterte slammed an unnamed mayor in Metro Manila for having a disorganized mind. Duterte tasked the DSWD and DILG to take over the cash aid distribution to prevent overcrowding and disorder.
All right, and we have live with us Gladys Piñuela Bangkay from our EBC Thailand Bureau, where riot police are now have fired water cannons and rubber bullets and tear gas at protesters in Bangkok as hundreds rallied for democratic reform and against the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Hello, Gladys.
Hello, Alma. Anti-government protesters in Bangkok clashed with Thai police as they throw ping-pong bombs, bricks, and other hard objects on Tuesday as a response to the usage of tear gas, water cannons, and rubber bullets. United Front for Femicide and demonstration group announced to end their rally at 5:20 in the afternoon, but a number of protesters refused to disperse. Various types of missiles were showered by the police to stop the protest that triggered another round of street battles. A police kiosk in Dendeng intersection was set ablaze and was extinguished by the police. In a news conference on Tuesday evening, protest groups are divided into two: those who protest against government and those who has intentions to incite unrest, according to Deputy Spokesperson or spokesman for the Royal Thai Police, Colonel Praisana Patachanarwin. Additional police were deployed to put the situation under control. International rules of engagement for keeping peace and order has been done by the Thai police, he added, and also admitted that police were provoked by protesters several times. Some police officers were reportedly hit in the legs by explosives and shots, according to hospital reports. Meanwhile, another police kiosk was torched near Victory Monument at 7:30 in the evening, that's the Bangkok time, and both sides retreated from the intersection at 9:15 in the evening. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much, Gladys. You take care. Are there still any protests happening right now, or was just that last night?
Well, Alma will give you an update every now and then.
All right, thank you
sure,
very
Bernard.
much. And you do take care.
You take care also, Alma, and this is Gladys Pinuela. We live in interesting times.
Now let's go over to Indonesia, where the partial lockdown has been extended by another week into island and by 2 weeks in 45 cities and districts Beyond two islands, we have December Paras for this update. Hi, December.
Yes, sir, you're right. The Indonesian government extended social restrictions across Java, that's including Jakarta, and Bali by another week, despite a steady decline in newly COVID-19 cases, citing the persistently high daily death toll. For certain districts and cities on other islands, the extended lockdown will last 2 weeks due to an uptick in new cases. Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, who is tasked of leading COVID-19 response in Java and Bali, claimed there has been a significant decline in newly cases since the partial lockdown was imposed on July 3. According to data, there is a 59.6% decline in the number of newly cases compared to July 15, 2021. Luhut said in a video conference referring to the date when the country saw a record of 56,757 cases in a single day. The daily death toll has been within the four-digit territory since July 16, including a further 1,475 deaths in the last 24 hours. The virus has killed 108,571 people in Indonesia to date. Luhut said President Joko Widodo has decided to extend restrictions until August 16 to maintain the momentum and reduce fatality rate. The government will allow gradual reopening of malls and trade centers in Jakarta, Bandung, Surabaya, and Semarang with 25% capacity limit throughout this week. The Indonesian government plans stricter measures to limit public mobility and gathering during the raging COVID-19 outbreak. They are requiring its citizens to show their vaccination status when entering public facilities. Only vaccinated people are allowed to visit malls, while those under 12 and above 70 years of age are temporarily banned from malls and trade centers. Starting next week, export-oriented businesses can operate at 100% capacity as long as workers are separated in at least 2 shifts. Religious congregation at worship places is limited to 25% of capacity. Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin said in a video conference as well, there will be a screening procedure to check whether or not the person is vaccinated. Vaccinated people are entitled to more relaxed protocols than unvaccinated ones. Indonesia has administered more than 74 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine to date, with 24.2 million people fully vaccinated. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, December, for your update. Thank you for your time. Please stay safe and stay healthy.
Stay safe too in Phuket, Esther. And reporting from Jakarta, Indonesia, I'm December Paras. We live in interesting times.
Now let's go over to the island nation of Maldives, where the Education Ministry is seeking to create a support hotline for students who may be affected by this ongoing pandemic. We have more live from Steffi Dewan joining us. Hello, Steffi.
Hello, Alma. Yes, Ministry of Education establishing a psychosocial support hotline to provide assistance for school students whose mental health has been affected by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Academic year 2021 to 2022 has started yesterday, Alma, as most of the schools reopened for a back-to-school program. But according to the report, a total of 91,000 have been mentally affected by the pandemic from nursery to higher secondary levels. A report created by the Education Ministry in collaboration with UNICEF indicates the school students of all grades. According to Education Minister Ahmad Mujahid, it is a great concern to the ministry that school students across the Maldives are being mentally affected by the pandemic. Hence, he added that a lot of efforts were being carried out by the ministry in order to provide assistance for such students. From these efforts, I highlight that the ministry is working on establishing a psychosocial support hotline for students. We hope to get this done by the end of this month, Mujahid said. He further detailed the establishment of such a hotline is so that assistance may be provided to all students from across the country in an accessible manner. Mujahid also added that the psychological assistance will be provided by ministries' counselors on this hotline. During this interview, he also highlighted that fully vaccinated expatriate teachers arriving in the Maldives for the academic new year must also complete a quarantine period of 5 days and submit a release sample subsequently. Unvaccinated expatriate teachers must complete a quarantine period of 7 days and submit a release sample subsequently. Mujahid stressed that the ministry would strictly monitor that this is followed. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much, Steffi, for your update on the psychosocial support that will be given to students affected by this pandemic. That would surely be helpful. Thank you, Steph. Take care.
Yes, Alma, thank you so much. Reporting live from Maldives, this is Steffi Di Juan. We live in interesting times.
Now in Vietnam, the government orders Ho Chi Minh City to control the pandemic before mid-August. That and more from our EBC Vietnam Bureau's Ralph Wandolph and I. Hi, Ralph.
Pleasant afternoon, Esther, and to everyone who are watching us today. The Health Ministry, Esther, has approved herbal COVID-19 medication produced by the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology for clinical trials. The medicine called Vivdervir is used to prevent and heal diseases caused by the RNA virus, a virus which is RNA as its genetic material, especially the novel coronavirus. The herbal-based research drug named Vivdervir has been created in the form of compressed tablets and is ready for production to serve COVID-19 patients, the conference was told. Based on these evaluations, the research team has conducted trials of Vivdervir on rabbits and found the drug is capable of preventing SARS-CoV-2 from sticking to host cells, making it impossible for the virus to enter the cells. Vivdervir also inhibits the multiplication of the virus in host cells while activating immune cells so that they can recognize, block, and eliminate it. The Ministry of Health hopes the clinical research would be completed by the year's end. They say that it will take about 2-3 months for human trials to be completed before a midterm assessment summarizes the test results. According to Ministry of Health, it is expected that by the end of 2021, the drug could be licensed for sale if there are satisfactory test results. After paperwork is completed, the drug will be tested on mild and moderate COVID-19 patients, said the ministry. In other news, Esther, the Vietnamese government has issued a national strategy on the research, development, and application of artificial intelligence by till 2030, with a view to gradually turning Vietnam into an innovation and AI hub in ASEAN and the world. The Minister of Science and Technology said the strategy aims for Vietnam to be among 4 leading countries in ASEAN and 50 nations globally in terms of AI research, development, and application by 2030, build 10 prestigious AI trademarks in the region, and develop 3 national big data and high-performance computing centers. By 2030, Vietnam will set up 50 interconnected open databases in economic sectors in service of the effort. To such end, the country is fine-tuning legal documents and creating a legal framework regarding AI, as well as promoting international cooperation in the field. And that's the latest here in Vietnam. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Ralph, for your time and for your update. Please stay safe and stay healthy.
You too, Esther. Reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam, I am Ralph Wandolph and I. We live in interesting times.
And staying in Vietnam, the country just received nearly 500,000 AstraZeneca vaccines through the COVAX facility. The country aims to achieve herd immunity by next year through vaccinating 70% of its more than 90 million population. Joining us live from Vietnam, here's Micah Gwyneth Apostol. Micah.
Hello, Alma. Here's another update from Vietnam. After a record high total of 200,024,147 new cases nationwide, Vietnam government set out a resolution to control its COVID outbreak before September 15. The resolution targets to impose strict measures in line with Directive 15 and 16. This is to ensure that the rules are applied strictly, not only in the streets but in residential areas as well. Directive 15 requires suspension of social events, bans gatherings of 20 people or more in one place and of 10 people or more outside workplaces, schools, and hospitals. A minimum distance of 2 meters between people in public places should be ensured. Directive 16 imposes stricter measures. It does not allow gatherings of more than 2 people in public and asks people to only leave home for emergencies, buying food and medicine, and working in factories, production facilities, and businesses that involve essential goods and services. In the ongoing COVID-19 wave that hit Vietnam in late April, Ho Chi Minh City has been the hardest hit with 100,029,751 cases, which forced authorities to extend social distancing under Directive 16 for an additional 2 more weeks after it is already in effect for 24 days. The city is also under a curfew that prohibits people from going out between 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Micah, for your time. Take care.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam, this is Micah Guneth Apostle. We live in interesting times.
Going back here in Thailand, the Phuket governor has ordered an island-wide tourist safety campaign. In this southern island of Phuket, where the vaccinated foreign tourists can visit via a quarantine-free scheme, local authorities announced more restrictions earlier after an uptick in cases. We have Ian Silada joining us live from Phuket. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Esther. Yes, the Phuket governor will run a safety campaign throughout the island to know the areas which are unsafe for all tourists. This campaign comes after some distressing situations happened in the island, such as the death of Nicole Sylvain Wisco. 57 was a deputy protocol chief of Federal Assembly of Switzerland on Phuket's east coast on August 6, 2021. And the latest one is the tourist who got lost in the jungle, which created different image of the island and most especially shook up the tourist confidence. According to the governor, all sectors must cooperate to search for tourist attraction that may give risk to the safety of all tourists and implements necessary safety measures. He also said that there must be an officer in each area that is aware for local information, especially local community leaders. He expects that the official implementation of this order will be issued today afternoon. The governor highlighted the importance of keeping the Phuket Sandbox scheme as this helps the continuation of earnings of the island. Meanwhile, Esther, the Phuket Provincial Public Health Office marked 37 new local COVID-19 infections on the island yesterday, bringing 1,609 total number of people recognized as infected with COVID-19 in Phuket since April 3. The PPHO report also marked one more patient infected in other provinces brought back to Phuket for medical treatment under the Bring Phuket People Home campaign, as well as 16 new infection confirmed under the subcategory new cases from foreign countries. PPHO Chief Dr. Kusak Kokya Tikun later explained that the 16 new cases were the Thai fishermen who had returned from were working in Myanmar. They are now observing quarantine on their boat. The PPHO COVID report for yesterday marked no new cadets attributed to COVID-19, leaving the total number of 14 deaths in Phuket attributed to COVID-19 since April 3. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Ian, for your time. Please stay safe and stay healthy.
You too, Esther. Reporting live from Phuket, Thailand, this is Ian Silada, and we live in interesting times.
And ASEAN in Focus will be right back. Please stay tuned.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration. to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision-making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back to the program. Now let's go over to Malaysia, and we have live updates coming from our correspondent, Alfred Balmes. Hi, Alfred.
Hi, Esther. Good afternoon. Confirmed, the Health Ministry announced one death due to COVID-19 reported yesterday was linked to a Dewan Rakyat special sitting held from July 26 to 29 at the Parliament building. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisam Abdullah said the death involved a government official with a history of being Parliament from July 26 to 29 with his pre-Dewan Rakyat screening on July 23rd and rapid antigen self-test kit saliva on July 29, both being negative. He then exhibited symptoms on July 31, and his polymicrane or PCR test returned a positive result with a cycle result value of 14.88. According to his statement, his condition deteriorated and he was admitted to hospital on August 4 for further treatment. His condition was very critical and he died on October and August 9. He added that the case has just tested positive for COVID-19 and was present during the Dewan Rakyat sitting. Dr. Nur Hisam said the case was among the 9 additional COVID-19 positive cases linked to the special sitting at the Parliament, bringing the total number of 97 cases. He added 4 close contact to the positive COVID-19 cases tested positive using the RTK test during the pre-Dewan Rakyat screening was reported by the District Health Office on July 23rd. According to him, all cases were found to exhibit minor symptoms and were ordered to be issued home surveillance order and recovered after their COs ended. In addition, he said out of the 4 close contact to the COVID-19 positive case, 1 had a RT-PCR value of 19.62, while the rest were between 32.76 and 36.07. 6 cases had completed both vaccination shots, while 2 more were children close contact not yet eligible for vaccination. Dr. Nor Hisan said, based on the minister's investigation,
All right, we'll try and get back with Alfred as soon as we get a better connection. But first, we go to Myanmar, where the junta had nothing to do with an alleged plot to attack the country's ambassador to the UN, who has defied the military and backed the pro-democracy movement that, according to state media yesterday, Kyaw Moe Tun made headlines after the army's February coup, brazenly disregarding its insistence that he no longer represents the country at the New York-based body. Last week, United States prosecutors said they had charged 2 Myanmar citizens over an alleged plot to hire hitmen who would force him to resign, or if he refused, kill him. Suspects Pyo Min Tut, 28, and Yi Hien Zhao, 20, are being charged in a federal court on counts for which they could be sentenced up to 5 years in prison. Prosecutors said Pyo Hien Tut had been in touch with an arms dealer in Thailand who had dealings with the military in Myanmar. The arms dealer spoke to Pyo Hien Tut about hiring assailants for the plot, which involves sabotaging the ambassador's car to force it to crash, according to the criminal complaint. Kyaw Moe Tun, who is wanted in Myanmar for high treason, has repeatedly called for international intervention to help end unrest and reinstate the civilian government. Last week, he sent a letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to report an alleged massacre of 40 civilians by the military in the Sagaing area of northwestern Myanmar over several days in July. The junta has denied the accusations, while AFP has not been able to independently verify the reports.
In other news, Bangladesh begins vaccinating Rohingya refugees living in congested camps as the impoverished South Asian nation battles a record surge in coronavirus cases. Let's take a look.
মানে 55 বছর থেকে তার উপরে যারা আছে তাদেরকে আমরা ভ্যাকসিনেশনের আওতায় নিয়ে আসব। আমাদের টোটাল টার্গেট পপুলেশন অলমোস্ট 1000 ক্যাম্প 4 এর। তো আমাদের ডেইলি অ্যাচিভমেন্ট টার্গেট অলমোস্ট 112 জন করে।
Officials said they have carried a massive vaccination awareness campaign in the camps, with volunteers going door to door to inform the refugees about the importance of getting jabbed. Bangladesh has been hit by a major surge in cases in recent months, and much of the country of 169 million people is under lockdown, including the Rohingya camps. The coronavirus has killed nearly 23,000 people and infected some 1.4 million in Bangladesh, most of them in recent months. Some 98% of new infections are from the more transmissible Delta variant, first detected in neighboring India. Most of the Rohingya in Bangladesh fled an offensive by security forces in neighboring Myanmar in 2017, and 4 years later, there remains little prospect of them returning home.
Meanwhile, the special UN envoy for the NTRY, Myanmar, says the leader of Myanmar's military is determined to solidify his grip on power following a coup in February. Speaking to reporters via video link, UN Special Envoy for Myanmar Christine Schreiner-Bergener urged the release of political prisoners, including many media workers. Take a look.
The situation in Myanmar is still very worrisome and keeps me very busy. In my view, the Commander-in-Chief appears determined to solidify his grip on power with the latest caretaker government announcement, also with the formal annulment of the election result from last year, and with the declaration of the Commander-in-Chief to be the Prime Minister of the country. And I fear that we will soon hear also that the NLD party could be disbanded. This is an attempt to promote legitimacy against lack of international action taken. And I have to make clear that the UN does not recognize governments, so it's up to the member states. And as long as member states do not make any decision, the permanent representative, Ambassador Jo Motun, is the legitimate representative of Myanmar in New York. And Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint are the leaders, as mentioned also in the presidential statement of the Security Council of the 4th February this year. The situation is very difficult for the people. It's a difficult environment to live now in Myanmar. There is no freedom of speech, and I have still grave concerns about attacks against free press. And I urge always in my discussions also with the army to release political prisoners, including many media workers. Until now, we have 962 people were killed. We count 7,084 people were arrested, among them also foreigners. 5,526 people are still detained, among them 104 children. We see a lot of violence on the ground. Clearly, many people are afraid of the huge violent scale of the military people, but also the people defense forces are using now more and more weapons which are not artificially self-made weapons. They are also using now professional weapons. So I really hope that a dialogue can happen to avoid a breakout of a full-scale civil war. We have a severe COVID-19 third wave in Myanmar. Entire families are falling sick with COVID, with relatives desperately seeking and struggling to access treatment, emergency oxygen and other supplies, while the prices have skyrocketed.
Now here in Thailand, a new center has been set up to receive information about children affected by COVID-19 throughout the country so that assistance can be provided in a timely manner. This is according to the Bangkok Post. Government Deputy Spokeswoman Traisuri Thaisaranakul said the center is a collaboration of 4 agencies: the Department of Children and Youth, the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, the Equal Education Fund, the Institute of Child and Adolescent Mental Health, and UNICEF. It would compile data on children affected by COVID-19 pandemic throughout the country. According to the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, 79,989 children were infected with COVID-19 during the period of January 1 to August 10 this year, 18,260 in Bangkok and 61,729 in other provinces. There were many other children who had been affected by the pandemic and left without guardians when their parents were infected or died from COVID-19.
In other news, the Philippine economy strongly recovered in the second quarter this year to 11.8%, mainly driven by base effects. and a better balance between addressing the impacts of the coronavirus and the need to restore jobs and incomes of Filipinos. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua warned hopes for continuous positive growth could be erased by the current two-week lockdown in the National Capital Region, which accounts for a third of the economy, and other areas aimed at slowing the spread of the hyper-contagious Delta variant. Take a look.
We are pleased to report that the Philippine economy strongly recovered in the second quarter of 2021. The robust performance is driven by more than just base effects. It is the result of a better balance between addressing COVID-19 and the need to restore jobs and incomes of the people. As reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority today, Philippine economic growth accelerated in the second quarter of 2021 to 11.8% from minus 17% in the same period last year. This is the highest GDP growth recorded since the fourth quarter of 1988. Prospects for a strong economic recovery in 2021 remains promising, although there are speed bumps given the ECQ in Metro Manila and other parts of the country. We are now better equipped to sustain continuous positive growth. So with the second quarter results, they are going to help us achieve our target for the year. However, it also depends on the outcome of this present ECQ. If we are able to manage the risks and everyone cooperates and adheres to the health protocol, then we will be able to lift the ECQ sooner. On the other hand, if we do not comply, then it is possible that the ECQ will be longer. It also depends on how long the ECQ will be. So we have to all cooperate with each other, take the opportunity to get vaccinated, because once we vaccinate more and more people, then we can reopen the economy more safely. We are also cognizant of the fact that our ECQ today is more managed. Unlike last year, we did not shut down public transport. Most sectors can operate. Workers are exempted from curfew. So these are important indications that we are learning to live with the virus and can help mitigate the downside risks for the second half. Thank you.
Singapore on Wednesday upgraded its growth forecast for this year as the trade-reliant economy's key export markets pick up strength, thanks to the rapid coronavirus vaccine rollouts. The prosperous city-state, one of the world's most open economies, suffered its worst-ever recession last year as it was hammered by the pandemic. But stronger overseas demand is helping to power a rebound, which is being closely watched as Singapore is seen as a bellwether for the health of global trade. The Trade Ministry said the economy is now expected to grow 4.0 to 7.0% for the full year from an earlier forecast of 4.0 to 6.0% made in May. The ministry also said that while COVID-19 cases continue to rise globally because of the fast-spreading Delta variant, vaccination rates have increased, particularly in the United States and Europe, allowing them to press on with reopening. This will offset a bleaker picture in Asia, where vaccination rates are slower and curbs on movements have been reimposed, it added. For the second quarter to June, Singapore's economy grew 14.7% on year, taking first half growth to 7.7%, it said. The key manufacturing sector expanded 17.7%, extending the 11.4% growth recorded in the previous 3 months. The domestic economy also grew following the lifting of curbs.
Meanwhile, the overall sentiment of foreign businesses operating in Thailand has plunged as foreign investors are growing concerned about the severe COVID infections and a delay in Thailand's vaccine allocations. The new Foreign Business Confidence Index, or FBCI, which gauges foreign business sentiment in Thailand, stood at only 27.7 in the second quarter of this year on a scale of 100 points, down from 33.2 in the first quarter of this year and 29.8 in the fourth quarter of 2020, when the index was posted for the first time. The index, conducted by the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, or UTCC, sampled 70 presidents, vice presidents, and secretaries generals of the Foreign Chamber of Commerce in Thailand, whose members are from 35 countries. It questions them mainly on two areas: Thailand's economic prospects and their own business confidence. There are 40 foreign chambers of commerce in Thailand, covering 7,000 companies. Now, Tanavat Ponvichai, UTCC president, said foreign business confidence in the country's overall economy and their business outlook remains low, standing at 28.5 points and 26.8 points respectively. And according to Mr. Tanavat, foreign businesses also forecast Thailand's economic prospects to contract for another year after a 6.1% fall last year, and most respondents said they were not sure when the economy would recover. Stanley Kang, chairman of the Joint Foreign Chamber of Commerce in Thailand, said foreign businesses expect Thai exports will fare better in the third and fourth quarters, boosted by the weak baht and belief that the government succeeds in controlling the contagion.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, or POEA, on Tuesday warned aspiring overseas Filipino workers against a social media account offering jobs in Japan. In a Facebook post, the agency also reminded job applicants, particularly abroad, that many countries are not yet accepting foreign workers due to the pandemic. In this era of COVID-19, there are not so many jobs in Japan. Borders are closed and many companies have closed and laid off Filipino workers. This is according to the POEA. It is not easy to get a job in Japan. Those recruiters will spend your money. The POEA said the advertisement of the supposed job vacancy in Japan has been there for a long time and is being used by unscrupulous individuals. It said POEA or its officials have no affiliation with the FB page below. This vacancy announcement on GMA News has been around for a long time and still used by fraudsters and illegal recruiters. The agency said, and I quote, "There are too many FB pages offering jobs supposedly abroad. Don't cut into such job advertisements. First of all, many countries are still closed to OFWs. Thousands of them have also returned home and are still returning to the Philippines due to unemployment." Meanwhile, the POEA urged the public to visit the right page, https://www.poj.bin/job-vacancies/jobs-menu.asp, where they can find a job that suits them.
Meanwhile, the Philippines is now asking numbers are uncertain. Number is seeking to get the Philippine BOQ international vaccination certificate so that may be shown by Philippine travelers. He said the Philippines is currently under group specified places or high risk in Hong Kong's COVID-19 travel advisory, meaning all Filipino travelers will be subject to a 21-day quarantine period.
The Philippine government is coordinating with the international community on the acceptance of vaccination cards issued to individuals who are already fully vaccinated against the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. This is according to Malacanang on Tuesday. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque issued the statement after Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. said Hong Kong does not honor the vaccination cards issued by the Philippines local government units and the Department of Health's Bureau of Quarantine or BOQ.
Nakakalungkot na balita po yan. No? Pero ang buong daigdig po, we are finding ways and means now para magkaroon po tayo ng basihan na kilalanin yung ating mga vaccination cards. Hindi lang po yan problema ng Pilipinas. Problema po yan ng buong daigdig. Siguro po makakatulong na meron tayong tinatawag na yellow book na ini-issue ng Bureau of Quarantine. Alam ko po nung nagpunta ako ng South Africa nung minsan, yung mandatory vaccination ko po for South Africa ay doon record at yun yung pinakita ko sa border control ng South Africa. No? So siguro po, pwede nating dalhin ang ating mga vaccination cards doon sa Bureau of Quarantine para makakuron tayo ng yellow card. No? Pero ang alam ko po, even IATA, yung private sector that deals with the airlines, sila na pong gumagawa ng paraan dahil problema po talaga kapag wala tayong standard na masihan para ipakita yung ating mga vaccination status. So, all I can say is nakikipag-ugnayan po ang gobyerno sa international community pagdating dito. Tinitignan po natin kung po pwedeng magamit yung yellow card ng Bureau of Quarantine at tinitignan po natin kung po pwede rin ang WHO ay manguna na doon sa initiative para magkaroon tayo ng uniform na pagtanggap ng mga vaccination cards.
Thank you, Esther, for keeping me company today, as always.
Always my pleasure, Alma, and that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Esther Odanga from your EBC Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And before we go, I would like to greet a very happy birthday to Mrs. Cha Balyaran, the wife of Brother Charles Balyaran, from your Eagle News ASEAN and Focus family, and from Joey, Brother Joey. Yes, happy birthday po sa inyo. All right, thank you very much, and we'll see you back tomorrow. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.